The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
I am hopeful, even in the midst of all that is happening around the country. It seems as though everything is falling apart. But yet and still, I got a measure of hope that I wanted to share with you. And it may not come across like I'm hopeful because of what I have to preface my hope with, which is the reality. The reality of what we're faced in this country in every category is grim. The reality, it is grim. From things as big as the fact that we're approaching 600,000 people who have died from COVID-19. We don't have universal health care. The rich are getting richer, right? Like obscenely so. That's a cliche that has been said since time immemorial, but the rich are genuinely getting so much richer while the rest of us are struggling. That's just on the economic front. You have the litany of Black lives that have been massacred by police officers in this country. Then you have just the unrest, the civil unrest that exists in general with cause. You have the insurrection on January 6th. I know it doesn't seem as though I'm hopeful, but I still have a sense of hope, but we must first confront the reality. The insurrection, the terrorist attack on January 6th, which showed that America will yield to white supremacy, even at the expense of the democracy. Sure, there's a couple of people who have been arrested, but in general, it was the fact that the United States was willing to stand down and not protect the Capitol because the people who were assaulting the Capitol were white supremacists, their own. The reality is grim. I'm just thinking about how many, that's just America. If we look globally, it is even more grim, but for whatever reason, I just have a sense of hope tonight. From things as big as COVID-19 all the way down to the petty squabbles, the inter-party squabbles and the social media fights and the Twitter wars and all the things that feel like they have set back the progressive movement in this country. I feel hopeful because I've seen the pendulum begin to swing back in the positive direction for progress. Sometimes when we're faced with tremendous opposition, and sometimes when we're faced with what seems to be insurmountable odds, sometimes you just got to stand still and just be quiet, hold your peace, and watch as things work themselves out. Now, this is not a passive, this is no appeal to pacifism. This is not an appeal for you to stand down from working and hustling and fighting. But one of the things that has plagued me my entire adult life, at least since when I was 25, when my father passed away, was this insatiable desire to make things better. And sometimes when you have that desire at the center of you, you become obsessed with making things better. And so you fight, you hustle, you maneuver, you go head first, diving into the pool, you jump into the deep end. You fight when maybe the best solution in that moment was not to fight, but to stand still. And what I've been learning in this pandemic, particularly since, I would say, December, is the importance of just holding on. And I don't know. I don't even know why I'm doing this particular episode, but I think it's because I know a lot of you are frustrated right now. But it's not going to always be like this. It's not. See, I am finally back at the place where I believe, like Dr. King believed, that though the moral arc of the universe is long, it does bend towards justice. We are fighting against immensely powerful people. It's funny. You guys, I'm so optimistic. It's hilarious. I really shouldn't be as optimistic as I am because I honestly believe that my ragtag operation can actually make a significant difference against organizations that have billions of dollars at their disposal. One of the more frustrating things is when we sit back and we see how the worst in our society are venerated as heroes. I mean, such is the nature of America itself, like being an American citizen born in America, I don't know, 7, 8 generations. I can only count back 5 generations here because everything after that, or before that rather, was enslaved people. But being an American citizen whose roots are rooted deeply in America, it takes a little bit of time for you to come to terms with the fact that you are yourself a part of the bad guy. And, you know, America's my home. To the extent that we can make America a more perfect union, I love this country, right? But there's so many hurdles and obstacles, and it's particularly because of how powerful the people are who are in charge, the amount of money that they have, their ability to make sure that the United States is constantly at war, dropping bombs in the global south, make sure that the United States never says anything against what's happening in Yemen and the human rights atrocities, the genocide that's taking place. And that's because it is connected directly to the wealth of the powerful. We are fighting against immensely powerful people in high places. But we're going to win. We're going to win. And even if it's not in my lifetime, your lifetime, we're going to win. Because as I've said on an episode before, I have no idea which episode it was. But people of good conscience, people of good faith, people who are people of justice, will never stop fighting. Which brings me back to my personal derangement in this, because it's like we're constantly, not just me, you listening. Maybe the reason you even listen to this infrequent, it will become more frequent solo podcast is because you really believe that we can win too. You believe that the little guy, the little person, human, non-gender conforming individual has the ability to make an outsized impact for good. I am hopeful because I have seen I pray, knock on wood. I'm gonna get out of character for a second. I really hope that I have seen the worst, at least, of this downswing that we have been facing in our fight for progress. We, as a progressive movement, have suffered some serious losses. Not just in terms of political ground, but actual comrades. Thinking about Michael Brooks, that was a huge blow. I'm thinking about all the people that we don't even know their names, who are essential workers, who put their lives on the line, and some of them lost their lives in this pandemic, who were comrades fighting on behalf of what's good and what's just, what's noble, what's worthy. And we have lost ground. The political divisions that still continue to this day in the progressive movement, that was a setback. When we should be fighting to move more progressive agendas, policies, and yes, politicians locally as well as in Washington, D.C. We're fighting each other, but that's okay, right? The reason I feel positive about the future is because now that that's behind us, we've got work to do. You might ask, is it really behind us? Yeah. It is. The pendulum is swinging back in the other direction. The pendulum is swinging back in another direction, not just on those little squabbles, the inter-party squabbles, but we're moving in the positive direction in terms of justice because there was only so much the human psyche could take anyway. There was only so much that we were going to put up with. I hate that I was on Roland Martin's show today, and for an hour and a half, we discussed nothing but new police shootings of black people, police murders of black people. I hate that it is taking so many lives for us to get just 1 inch closer to justice. But we're moving in that direction. I hate that it took a global pandemic for people to understand the need for universal health care, while people should not be going bankrupt because they got sick and not be sick because they couldn't get money enough to go see a doctor. But people are starting to see it. How many lives does it take? I hate the thing that pulls my soul down is that it took so many lives, and frankly, it may take many, many more. But I believe that there has been a shift in the consciousness of Americans. What we have come through over the last year alone, 2 years, definitely, what we have come through, not only the pandemic, but also the pandemic of police violence, of the police state, the crackdown across this country. Like, people are aware. Are they aware of enough and to the point where they're ready to take action? Are they organized enough in order to accomplish a meaningful action? It depends on who you ask, and it depends on what city, but I think there's so much more work to be done in that regard. We're not there yet, but I do believe that we're on the way. I believe that we're on the way. I believe that with every pain, there's a new awakening. I often tie a lot of what I say to, some of the examples that resonate the most to me from my religious background. There is a scripture that says, the more the children of Israel were oppressed, the more they grew. And every time I think about how foolish this system, this world is, such that it will continuously oppress the people, not just here in the United States. Obviously, I'm talking about American oppression across the globe. I'm talking about internationally. I'm talking about all of humanity, not just Americans, but humanity. The more the powerful across this globe oppress humanity, the more our consciousness grows, the more we connect with each other, the more determined we get. Does that mean we're automatically going to win? No. But it means that they're going to have a hell of a fight on their hands. And that's the thing. I feel like we've only just begun to fight. I believe that once we come out of the various storms that we're in, COVID-19 in particular, so much division and infighting and war going on in the very movement that we look to bring us hope and to bring us into the future. Once those two pandemics end, we're right back in this thing. See, we're not just, we cannot allow the powerful to get away without them being confronted by at least magnitudes of order, more intensity than we fought each other. Okay. We cannot allow the powerful to get away with presiding over the deaths of 600,000 Americans alone for the sake of their profits. No. See, it would be irresponsible for those of us who truly believe that the moral arc of the universe bends towards justice, the people of good faith and the people of good consciousness, the people who honestly are out here trying to simply make sure that people have enough. It would be wrong for those of us who claim to be fighting on behalf of the people to fight with each other harder than we fight against this system. It would say that we aren't really who we think we are. And I know who I am. This pandemic has been long. It has taken a lot out of every single one of us. It has pushed us. It has stretched us. We've bent. Some of us have been broken. Some of us have had mental health crises. Some of us have had health crises outside of COVID-19, financial dilemmas. We've come through a lot. And when we juxtapose what we've gone through with what could have and should have been, which is a nation as rich as the empire of the United States of America, a nation this wealthy should have provided for every single citizen, should have shut this place down and preserved as many lives as they possibly could, but their profit margin was too important to them. And so I say again, if we are people who believe that we're fighting on behalf of the people, then there's no way in hell we can allow the rulers of this world to get away without having to confront the wrath of the people. I'm not talking about violent revolution because that's something we cannot win. I want to make sure I'm clear on that. I firmly believe, it is my wholehearted belief that anyone who's trying to sell you violent revolution has not a clue what they're up against. Our power is in our collectivism. Our power is in our ability to fight for each other. Our power is in our ability to organize with each other. Our power is in our ability to understand the value of every human life. The intrinsic value of every single living individual, and our ability to connect with that greater humanity in each other. No, I'm so serious. It is the greatest connection that I think I have ever had is with people who understand the intrinsic value, the immeasurable value of one human life. And if we are those people and we believe these things, then there's no way. And so what am I saying? I'm saying that as much vitriolic fighting that we have seen over the last 6 months, and as much suffering as we have seen over the last 12, 14 months, we are going to return that on the rulers of this world across this globe, not through violence, but through organizing our economic power, organizing our ability to withhold, our ability to command, our ability to speak in a unified voice. It's going to come because it has to come. It must come. The people must be unified. And this doesn't mean that the people are going to be unified behind a leader or a group. A lot of what we've gone through has been jockeying for who's going to be the leader, or what organization is going to be the organization. Will it be this socialist organization? Would it be this socialist? Would it be this group? Would it be this liberal organization? Would it be this progressive organization? Would it be this progressive voice? Would it be this person on YouTube? Will it be this? And I'm saying none of that matters. It won't be a single leader. It won't be a single organization, but it will be everyone in their respective places doing their thing, connecting with each other, with around, centered in our greater humanity, that your life is as valuable as mine. Your life is as valuable as mine. Your future is as important as mine to me. Right? That's the caveat. It's one thing for you to know that you are as important to yourself as I am to me, but I need you to know that you are as important to me as I am to me. And if we can find a way to rally the energy that has been lost, point it towards each other. I'm thinking of Kant in the English Civil War, when he was talking about neighbor versus neighbor, with all in the stance of a gladiator, with their javelins pointed at each other, and neither neighbor could progress because every neighbor was at war with each other. And it wasn't until a greater Leviathan came that everyone was able to have peace. Here's the thing. We interpreted that, and the powerful took that to mean that the Leviathan was the government. And we've seen the governments have failed. They have. I mean, they're keeping this iteration of civilization going. I guess you could say that. We could argue, we could debate the merits of that last statement. But one thing I can tell you for sure: the rulers of this world have failed the ruled. And the rulers of this world are going to face the unruly masses. I don't know when. I don't know particularly how. I've got some ideas that I've already shared with you. I just know that it is inevitable. The people are going to speak. The people are going to be heard. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful this evening, despite COVID-19. I'm hopeful despite the relentless infighting, of which I've participated and in some measure still continue to participate, just not in a very loud way. I'm just holding the line for what I believe. But even beyond me, beyond my hopefulness, is your hopefulness. Yours. Because it's not good enough for me to be hopeful. I need you to honestly believe that we can still do this. One of the number one things that has been attacked since the entire force the vote fiasco was the idea that we could collectively, as a progressive movement, make a change in this country. And that seemed to be destroyed as the left fell into various factions. And again, of which I've been an active participant in those fights. I do believe that trouble won't last always. I do believe that particular fight is coming to an end because it couldn't be sustained forever, because there's so many people of good conscience, good faith intentions, good faith interactions, good faith beliefs, good faith motivations. There's too many people that even if they got caught up in everything that has divided us over the last year, to continue in it. There was always going to be the other side of the storm. And when we come out of this, let me tell you, I don't care how you identify. I don't care if you identify as a socialist, as a progressive, as a liberal. I don't care if you identify as a neoliberal. I don't care if you identify as a communist. When we come out of this pandemic, I'm not talking about COVID-19. Talking about the pandemic of division that is intentionally attempting to diminish the capacity of people of good faith and good consciousness and people of justice who are fighting this pandemic of division has divided us to the point where it seems as though we couldn't do anything anymore and we were going nowhere. But I'm telling you something, we're still going to make it. We are still going to get very practical, tangible things for human beings. We are still going to make a demand on this system, and we're going to put pressure on them that they cannot deny. And whether that happens in my lifetime, I do not know. But what I do know is that there will come a day that at a bare minimum, I don't care what your ideology is. I don't care what your particular political affiliation is. I'm not interested in that, because that's how we stay divided. Believe what you believe. Fight for what you fight for. Stand on what you stand on. But I think that we can all agree that at a bare minimum, every human being has the right to be housed, to food, to education, to health care, and most of all, peace. That's not too much for any nation on the face of this planet. That is not too much to ask of any one who considers themselves a ruler of this world. That's not too much to ask any oligarch, any system. At a bare minimum, every single human being on the face of this planet has the right to housing, to food, to education, healthcare, and peace. By any means necessary. And the rulers of this world need to understand that not everybody is going to fight for those things peacefully. So they should listen to those of us who are pleading for peace. One last thing before I go and get ready for tomorrow. I hope that you listening are faring well enough to hold on just another day. I seriously do. I hope that things are coming together for you. I don't only hope this for you and for your sake. There are some selfish reasons behind this. I hope this also because we need you in this fight. Right in the capacity, right? Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever that you're bringing to this fight for humanity, the fight for humanity. It is the fight for humanity. We need you. And I hope that if any of you have been feeling that sensation of despair, I may not have accomplished it in this episode, but I'm going to keep talking to you. I'm going to do another episode because I need us to understand that it is from our broken places that we can find the most strength. But sometimes the broken places are so deep that we don't even know that we can make it. We've been through some stuff, y'all. 2019, 2020, 2021, they have been some very painful years. And I can't imagine what it is that you've gone through during this time frame. But I do understand what we have collectively gone through. And I hope that despite all the things that we have collectively gone through, I hope you're doing well. And I hope to speak with you next time.